Hi everyone, welcome. Today is the 24th of August 2023 and I will be posting more videos on what we are doing at the moment, which is to consider the Protestant Reformation and how we got here and so on. But of course I follow the news, and yesterday I was watching the debate among the Republican candidates and also watched the interview with President Trump and Tucker Carlson and so on. And I don't know, a thought came to my mind, probably because I'm also reading that wonderful book, Uncle Tom's Cabin, written by Harriet Beecher Stowe's book. And I realize, as I think everyone has realized, that the term Uncle Tom is being used in the wrong way today. Yes, because Uncle Tom was actually a very good person who did the opposite. He sacrificed himself for his people. He was actually beaten to death for refusing to betray the whereabouts of where the other slaves were hiding and so on. So it's totally the opposite. How it came to this new interpretation, which is practically the opposite. I don't know the reason for this, but I actually went to Google. I know that it's being used in a different way. So I went to Google and said, okay, what is the definition of how it is used today? And the definition they give is, in a general sense, black masculinity characterized by docility, obedience, castrated sexuality, they say, happy to please whites, happy to please the ruling classes, the man, as they say. And this is actually very unfortunate, because it's actually the opposite of what the story is about. And thinking about this contradiction, I thought, well, within American society, is this term aptly used to characterize let's say black politicians or black male politicians in power that would actually, in the modern understanding of the term, betray blacks in order to please the powers that be? Let us extend that interpretation, that faulty interpretation. And I came to this conclusion that perhaps not. I find that I do follow American politics, and I do find that in my estimation, obviously, that there are many male black politicians that obviously want to appeal to the black community there, and they tell them all the right things, and we are doing this for you, but ultimately perhaps they are not 100% sincere. They may not be, and they're actually helping themselves and their own ambitions and so on, but not necessarily to please the ruling class, but for their own personal gain. There would be obviously exceptions to this. But what I do find is that women, however, are different. Yes, many of them would start by saying all the right things to appeal to their community. But and it's that they're going to, like men, perhaps betray that trust that black people have put on them for their own ambition and for their own careers, and that is black, white, yellow, and green. That is nothing to do with color necessarily. they all do it. We can all think of politicians who do that. However, I found, and connecting this with the Trump case and so on, I have wondered why so many of these attorneys that are indicting Trump are black women. And although we can think of ambition and personal name recognition and all that, I think they're also being used. And they may not be aware of it. They may think that they are doing it. I don't think they think for the good of the community. They know better than that, but they're for their own personal ambition. But they might be being used by the powers that be, whichever those powers are. And that is the difference, you see, because I think males are aware of that they're doing it for themselves, and women may not be aware that they're just doing it for themselves, and they are helping outside powers. I think they're being used much more readily than the men are. And if we extend this outside of the American context and outside of race and color, we can see that this term that means here in the term Uncle Tom used inappropriately, but if we enlarge it to mean those who betray their own people, this is not unique to the black community in America. We know that, unfortunately, during the Second World War, that there were Jewish people too who were betraying their own people and helping, the Germans. It has been said, and I think he has admitted it himself, that Soros was one of these young people who was helping the powers that were enslaving his own people. And in one interview, he actually said, he said he was young, I think he was 13 or 14. But he was given them information, and in one interview he said, well, if I didn't do it, someone else would have done it, or something like that, for personal gain. So if we use this term, and there were a few of them, I have no idea how many, hopefully not very many, but this idea of betraying your own in order to satisfy the powers that are oppressing your own people. So if we understand it, in the Jewish case, I think they were called capos, something like that, but they're not the only ones. We have these people who are willing, as I said, to sacrifice their own, where they come from. In the working class, we have quite a few there. Once they get to a position where they can benefit themselves, that they abandon their own working class communities and become one of those who they considered oppressors. And I was thinking, for example, in Europe, I see this difference again between men and women. I see these men who are following the line prescribed to them and obeying orders. I think they are aware of what they're doing, and they consent to that for their own benefit or for whatever reasons. Or perhaps, there are many reasons why you follow and you obey orders when you know they are wrong. we could go into great psychological depths there. But what I see, and I have dealt with this thing about women politicians before in other videos, what I do see is that men are, I think, more aware. Women are less aware that they are being used. They may think that they just do it because it's right or because it satisfies their ambition and their career prospects. But they are less aware of being tools to higher powers, I believe. We have many examples of those. I'm thinking of a woman in Germany at the moment, a politician. I'm thinking of a leader of the European community. I'm thinking of leaders in Finland and New Zealand, and they are all over the place. And I don't think they're aware of being used. And I think that there is a difference there between men and women. So I'm going to call them not Uncle Toms, but Aunts Tomasas from now on. Just a thought. Thoughts come to my mind sometimes. Okay, I will be posting some serious videos today, later on today. So thank you very much for listening. Bye-bye.